Hi, everybody. This is the Courage and Cannabis show based on the #1 Amazon bestseller series, Courage and Cannabis. I am Candy Flores, and this is our guest, Nikki Lawley.
Hi
Hi,
guys.
Nikki. How are
How are
you?
you?
I'm
I'm
doing
good.
good. Great to have you on the show, one of our Volume 2 authors. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a sunny day in Buffalo, or was a sunny day in Buffalo, so I gotta say that's always a plus. Honored to be here and super pumped to see how many people are talking about the courage in cannabis and all the great work we did on that.
Yes, absolutely. Y'all did a great job. We all did.
You were part of that, girl.
Thank you. Thank you. We all did it together as a team. Let's see. Today's topic is Volume 2 author Nikki Lawley, and we are going to talk about cannabis and TBI. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your chapter, Nikki.
Sure. So, my chapter kind of anyone could fall victim to what I did. I was just doing my job like any other day, and I was a pediatric nurse, and a child became combative for a vaccine. When he became combative, he hit me in the head, and I bounced off a wall and back into his head. And that caused a traumatic brain injury that lasted. The symptoms, I'm still plagued with today in some ways, but cannabis has allowed them to become more manageable.
Nice, nice. Great, great. And you were a pediatric nurse for how long?
96 to 16, 20 years.
Wow, amazing, amazing.
But I didn't practice for all 20, full transparency. I had some sales jobs in between. I owned my own company and was a casino dealer. So I had a few other careers mixed in there. But, once you're licensed, you're always a nurse.
Yeah,
Once a nurse, always a nurse.
that's right. That's right. So I wanted to ask you, I want, to get deep in depth. I know about your story. Many others know about your story, but I feel that we need to reveal how you came to Courage and Cannabis, how, your experience on how it made a difference to you, because I'm sure with all our readers, every story touches them differently. We may not relate to, chapter 1, but we may relate to chapter, 14. So I want the audience to know, more or less how it touched your life and how you became an author for volume 2.
Sure. So, cannabis literally saved my life when I was ready to jump off a balcony in Las Vegas. And a billboard came driving by advertising, get your medical marijuana card in Nevada today. And I saw that billboard and I quite honestly laughed at that billboard because I was like, great idea, Nikki. Go fry your brain on drugs. It's already messed up. But I was in a really dark place. And quite honestly, that billboard, I believe, saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to deep dive into cannabis as medicine about 18 months after my TBI. And literally, I can tell you, I went from a non functioning human, meaning I couldn't count, I couldn't, do any of the things I had always done. Um, my emotions were out of regulation. The chronic pain I suffered in my head and neck was just excruciating. So, having been on so many different medications and been on so many different treatments, seen so many doctors, was gaslit. Like I went from being the respected healthcare provider to now this crazy woman that there's nothing showing up on the, MRIs, CTs,
Mm-hmm.
whatever test modality that they were reviewing with me. And at the end of the day, something really was wrong. They just were, I don't know if it was laziness or, constraints of workers'
Well,
compensation,
right.
but
And it's definitely hard when it's an invisible illness.
so hard. And I mean, that's what I really had was an invisible disability. And
Mhm.
I was still the same person, but injured now. And so people that once knew me as pre Nikki and now know me again as Nikki, I'm still way different than I was before
Right.
I got injured. And
Mhm.
so, you know, doctors spend like 5 minutes with you, 5 to 7.5 if you're lucky. Appointments are 15 minutes, and that's supposed to get you in the room, out the room, and out the checkout. But of course, it
Right.
never works that way. But
Mhm.
doctors are always super short pressed for time. They see you for that little tiny window, and you know what's going on with you the rest of the time, but
Right.
it's visible. So people don't see what it took you to get to that location for that doctor appointment. I mean, the
Right.
stress of going
Only
through,
you know your body.
right. And it was just a shitty time in my life. But at the same time, I would just get these little glistens of hope, or, I started looking into like functional neurology, looking at alternative treatments because clearly the drugs weren't working. And, when I found cannabis by accident on that balcony, it began a journey that was full of bumps and, pivots along the way. But that journey taught me so much. It taught me what the plant can do and how it can help other people suffering from a multitude of symptoms, not just TBI. But, you know, it blew my mind as a nurse that
Right.
I never viewed cannabis as medicine. It was like, hey,
Right.
man, you want to get high? Who am I to judge? Right. Like,
Yeah.
but that
How the tables turn, right?
has the tables turned. So
Yes.
now, I found the Courage in Cannabis book because I don't know, I'd seen a promo with Dr. Bridget about advertising about the Courage in Cannabis, and I was like, I should buy that book. I support her, so why not? So I'm reading through the book, and like you mentioned, some chapters really resonated with me, and others didn't so much. So I was, I won't say I was diligently reading every word, but I
Right.
got to your story and I read every word. And I resonated with it so well because your story talks about, opiates and how, pills were ruling your life. And that's kind of what happened to me differently, but in the same way, because doctors are so quick to prescribe pharmaceuticals because
Mhm.
that's what they know, that's what they're comfortable with. In okay,
Exactly.
like even though that antidepressant, has been known for really suicidal ideations and whatever, there's a good chance she won't have them. So let's just start
Right.
there. Or, and
Right.
in reality, cannabis is similar, but it's nowhere near the negative effects. It may just not be your strain. Like it may not be strong enough to address your pain, or maybe it made you sleepy when you really wanted to be awake. I mean, these
Right.
are a whole big contrasts between
Mhm.
suicidal ideation and feeling a little hungry, happy, and sleepy as your
Yeah.
side effect.
Right.
And
And as you're experiencing with it, I feel that you yourself know your body, so you start to try different and add to this, or try the tincture instead of the flower, or vice versa. So I feel that it's science. It's just like any other medication that the doctor's giving
right,
you. It's not going to, there is chances that it'll work right away, but there's chances that it's not going to work right away. So what do? They keep trying, either increasing the dose, or changing it up if it's not the right one, change to a different family. But it's very, very similar. Like you said, I see it. It does control a lot of, kind of like an umbrella, and it controls a lot of the symptoms, and then the
absolutely.
cannabinoids.
Absolutely. But so how did I get to the Courage in Cannabis to become an
Yes.
author? I then reached out to you on LinkedIn and we connected, and we've been pals ever since.
Yes, very, very inspiring, and I'm glad that you were able to read volume one, and now you are doing the same thing for others. I spoke with different people as we've traveled, and everyone knows Nikki Lawley. Connects the dots, and they know that if they have anyone, even if it's not a personal, if they know someone, they can refer back to your story. Because a lot of times people don't understand, when you're trying to educate them, and they're not at, not everyone corresponds the same. So definitely has made a difference to others, reading the stories.
And that's so great to hear.
So
You never know the impact you make on someone's life.
exactly. I remember, being the admin of, Courage and Cannabis. I remember people saying, my story's not good enough, or my story, no, everyone's story is good enough. We need all those stories to come out and, be a voice for others, because your story is going to touch somebody that you can't even imagine needed it, or at the time, or in the future. Your story has made a difference, and as well as all the other authors, because everyone has a different story. So tell us, what does connect the dots mean?
So I'm out of character today. I'm actually in solid black, and normally I'm always polka dotted. I'm very spottable. But it just started out. The first event I went to in cannabis was in Canada. It was the Grow Up conference in like 2018. And I wore a polka dotted dress. I can't tell you how many people complimented me on that polka dotted dress. So then the next event, I went to the polka dotted dress again. And so many people were like, "Oh, I remember you. You wore a polka dot," and like the polka dots just stuck. And then the red blazer just was to break the polka dots up. And if I you look into any picture, you can kind of see it. And so I don't know, just one day I was medicating and I'm like, cannabis connects my dots. And so
Yes,
it just kind of stuck. Because having a brain injury, there's a lot of stuff going on in there that's not connecting. And what cannabis does is it just like happens and it connects those dots. It, adheres to different receptors in your brain. And again, it's different cultivars, aka strains, for those that might not know.
mhm,
Um, Everybody is different, but everybody knows something different about cannabis, but their perception or their understanding might not be right, because so often we're taught about cannabis and everything, but no one really teaches it like from an authoritative kind of point, right? You hear
right,
about it from, your grandson, your kid, or whatever,
right.
and they know more about it than you do. Like when I heard the terms indica, sativa, and hybrid, I all of a sudden thought I was a rocket scientist. And then, then to learn, oh, wait, that really doesn't matter a whole lot. It's more about the terpenes, and it's more about,
Right.
different
And
parts of the plant.
right. And it comes like in stages, as you're so passionate about it, you just start digging deeper and deeper. And I totally can relate to that. But what I can say about connecting the dots would be, I've met a lot of people through the years, as I've been an advocate and, a patient myself. I've seen where people, not everyone, remembers names. So for those that cannot remember names, that have had some kind of, TBI or brain fog with other health conditions, can relate to, okay, clues. And yours is the polka dots. If they see you somewhere, they may not remember your name, but they're going to remember your story. They're going to remember you, because they're going to see those polka dots on Nikki Lawley. And we couldn't
But
miss you at MJ Biz. And you know how huge that is.
right?
Yes.
Truly, though, one of the things that TBI kind of took from me was facial recognition. So, as soon as you change outfits, as soon as you change hairstyles, and like chicks do it all the time. Like one minute they're short hair, the next minute they're like long hair and curls, right? And like, but I just saw you in something totally different. And like, how can you possibly be the same person? But like, that happens to me all the time. So facial blindness is a real thing. And so I kind of do it for me as much as I do it for other people.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, why do I wear a name tag? Because I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable not knowing who I am. And maybe I'll feel super uncomfortable because I still won't know who they are. And everybody
Right.
assumes like that I remember them. And
Right.
again, I literally will tell them, look, as soon as you change your outfit, as soon as you're wearing something different, I am not going to remember your name or where we
Right.
met or anything. So if you can just give me a quick cue in, please understand it's really a thing.
Well,
So,
that's really nice of you to think, not only think of yourself, but thinking of others. You're doing two deeds at one. So I have a question.
name
Uh,
tags. If the world just could wear name tags, we'd be fine.
or your LED backpack. That was awesome.
That was pretty sick. I'm not going to lie.
Yes, it was. So we have a question for you. Have you been able to talk to people in healthcare about cannabis, how it can be medicinal? I know that you come from healthcare, and have you ever been able to speak to anyone on that? And how have you been received with it?
So initially, when I was the patient and not the advocate, but just
Mhm.
do whatever the doctor told me. And as soon as I shared that I had gone and gotten my cannabis card in Nevada, immediately they're like, well, you're on vacation. You're well enough to go on vacation. Why can't you go back to work? And if you got high on weed, well, it's no wonder you were happy. And I don't think people understand how significant an invisible illness is from a
Right,
standpoint of it affects every area of your life. So the more stressed you get, the worse your pain gets. The worse your pain gets, the more the anxiety gets out of control. All of it starts to just snowball out of control. So when doctors would literally insult me, put in my chart that I'm a drug seeker and shouldn't be given any other medications, that if she's good enough to go on vacation, she's good enough to return back to work, that,
right,
um, the judge rules me 100% disabled. And then at the same day, I get an independent medical exam and they said, I can go back to work in 6 weeks. Like, how can you have such a variance of opinion?
right.
um, and I was not received well when I was a patient. When lately, okay, so I've had several pretty significant surgeries in the past 2 years.
Mhm.
I am not ashamed to wave my cannabis flag. I'm not ashamed to share that this plant saved my life, and here's why. Um, as far as other healthcare providers, so no, I don't shy away from that. How is it received? I think it's received better now where I am because I'm so confident with it. Like, go ahead,
Mhm.
challenge. And go ahead, I dare you. Like, don't even go there. Like, I smoke my medicine. Why? Because that's what works for me. The judgment surrounding smoking is a real thing. And again, the benefits outweigh the risks for me. So, is it possible that it could have adverse effects on my lungs long term? Yeah, but guess what? I'm here to find out. I
Right,
mean, if I didn't have the plant and it didn't work for me in any other way than smoking, I wouldn't be here. I mean, the amount of pain that I still deal with on a daily basis is
mhm.
significant. Like,
Well,
people don't see how hard it is. Like, everybody sees me at MJ BizCon and they just think I'm so happy and I'm so great and I'm so awesome. Well, I've been medicating all day, so I can handle that stress. And, there's no shame in being outside smoking with others, right? It's very accepted.
right,
Whereas going to a caucus in Albany, it was not. an accepted thing, like smoking outside the building, even though there were other people smoking cigarettes, it didn't
Mhm.
matter. You were immediately like totally judged. So,
Mhm.
from a medical perspective, I think I'm doing better with that. But from
Mhm.
a public perspective, I think there's such a great stigma, especially among
I was
politicians.
about to ask you that. So the stigma is still there in your area.
Oh my God. It was
Is
so bad. It was so bad. Like were there positives? Yes, but far more negatives. Literally, I took a toke of my vape pen and I blew it out. And I mean, it's like they think they can do that anywhere. Like, like,
oh wow. Yeah.
whoa. Like, whoa. Like, we don't got
And
to get all sassy.
right.
But you
And not
definitely,
only that, but you do it because of your health. Like because I can
I
totally
do.
relate. You've got to, increase your dosing when you've got to do more, or you're going to be, doing extra than normal. So I totally relate to that, and the stigma, yes, is definitely there. We have another question. What gave you the courage to share your story?
I didn't want anyone to get in the dark place that I was in. And so I felt that if I could share my story, and anytime I shared it, like in the cannabis industry, people were just so awe inspired. So I've kind of felt it would be just as well received in the outside. And don't misunderstand, it is, but getting people to actually allow you into their place to share the story has been a big challenge. Um, what gave me the courage was pretty much, I think, my brain injury. Meaning, I lost the filter and I gained the public speaking fearlessness. Um, it really changed who I was in that regard. Like, if you would have told me I would be public speaking ever, um, I'll never forget. I ran for office, like secretary, in my freshman year of high school, and I like lost, right? And it was just the most crappy feeling. At the time I entered, there was no one else running. So I figured, oh, well, I got signs up, I'm good. And then all of a sudden, like the most popular chick in the class, all of a sudden pops her name up in the race. And it's like, yeah, how's that going to work? But I remember that speech that I had to make in front of
Yeah.
the whole class body. And I remember how my voice just trembled and shook. And it was like in theater and I was a singer, but like being myself was so hard. And now not being myself is so hard. And so that courage, I think, came from the grace I received from others who were kind of on that same energy level. Like, I
Yes.
totally believe every single thing has happened for a reason in my life. Was It's planned, man. And I don't know how it turns out, but I can tell you, since I have not been a nurse, I guarantee you I've impacted and saved more lives just by being me and sharing my journey and telling people they're not alone. I mean,
Right.
I've had people literally randomly Google cannabis and TBI, and my name comes up so much in their feed. Then they click on my website or click on my Facebook or whatever, and they become friends. They actually reach out to me. I mean,
And isn't
that's
that so
life.
rewarding?
It
It really
is.
is very rewarding. Because I know I've sometimes gone, dark places still come back, and
Absolutely.
we've got to keep fighting. And cannabis has made a difference. So it sounds like cannabis gave you courage that you didn't expect. Wasn't intentional, but it sounds like
No,
cannabis did give you a lot of courage.
because I think before cannabis, I was incredibly obedient with whatever the healthcare professionals
Oh
said,
yeah,
like, just take it, just
that's
take
how
it,
the
just take
system
it.
has us.
16 different pills, friends, 16 different pills, all at the
Yeah,
same time, mind you. And I was
yeah.
so sick all the time. So then they just give me more anti-nausea pills, or they give me, another antidepressant, but you got to wean off that one. So they would counteract each other. The pill cocktail was horrible. but I could not advocate for myself at that point with the doctors because I felt so beneath them and was made to feel like, why bother? They're not going to listen to me anyway. And if I say the wrong thing, it's going to get back to workers' comp that like I smiled during my, visit to the doctor, and that's going to cause you to lose your benefits. It
Right.
was only until after I started medicating on a regular basis and learning what products really worked for me
Mm-hmm.
that I was able to kind of figure out how to change people's minds about the plant. Like, I can't tell you how many people I've gone, turned from complete anti to at least planted a seed enough that maybe they'll consider it. I feel like I'm the voice for the voiceless that are one day they're going to need cannabis. And
Mm-hmm.
they may have been super judgmental at the time they met me or, not believed or agreed with me. And it's okay. We can all disagree. But one day they're going to call me and reach out and say, hey, my friend has cancer. What should I do? How can I help them? Because they remember hearing about the darkness or the nausea or the side effects of medicine or the opiate addictions or whatever they resonated with. And
Right.
I think that everybody can learn from everybody. Nobody is it all
100%.
figured out.
Yeah.
And if I can change someone's perspective one person at a time, that's what I'm trying to do.
That you're doing a great job. So you have had such an impact on so many. What is one of your favorite stories?
Probably the one of the police officer who reached out to me 2 weeks ago. And he was in a severe accident in his state and got really messed up with his TBI.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, I don't know, almost 2 years ago, maybe now, or maybe it is 2 years. And he wrote in my contact form, reached out and just said, hi, my name's such and such. And I'm reading that cannabis could help TBI. And I Googled you and you kind of came up. And I don't know if you can email me or whatever, but here's my phone number, here's my contact. So it was late at night when I got that message, or super early in the morning, like 2 in the morning. And I remember sending him an email, and within seconds, like in the morning, and within seconds, he replied, and we got on a phone call. And he shared he was in a really dark place when he went Googling.
Right.
And like my story gave him hope. I mean, that's a real thing, you guys. Like,
Right.
and he literally then he shared with me, my friend got a vape and I tried that. Like he felt like a bad person for even admitting
Right.
that he tried the vape, right?
Yeah.
He said he sort of felt normal when it happened. But his wife's pretty much not a fan of the cannabis.
Right.
And he's just been conditioned as a cop for year after year after year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is bad. We gotta arrest people for this. If you smell it, you go after it. And
Yeah.
so I really believe that I've given him at least the opportunity to feel like he's got permission to check it out
Right.
first, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. I mean, not that he needed my permission, but
Right. Like validation.
yeah,
You gave him
validation, better word,
validation.
better
Right.
word.
Validation that he didn't know he needed because he obviously didn't need your validation, but you speaking to you and sharing, about your journey, that very touched him.
Like when you have had a traumatic brain injury, okay,
Mhm.
and several at that, it really does mess up your brain. I mean, like different parts for different people.
Yeah.
And every word he said to me, I could 100% relate to. Every word I said to him, he could 100% relate to. Why? it's like, problems with the spouse, right? Like over 50% of marriages end when a significant
Mhm.
other has a TBI
Right.
because it's so much. You're no longer the same person that you were
Mhm.
just months before. I mean, we
Right.
literally all are one car accident, one fall down the stairs, one, impact injury away
Hmm.
from our life changing and being completely different. So,
Right.
what happened to me could literally happen to anyone. Maybe not in a nursing scenario, but a horse kicks you in the face, whatever.
Right.
You
Hmm.
just don't realize until it happens to you how
Hmm.
much this plant can really help. And without a doubt, I'm never going to stop promoting cannabis as medicine. Is
Hmm.
cannabis for every single person in the entire world? Absolutely not. Is it safe for people on certain medications to use cannabis? No, it is not. Like, there are contraindications with cannabis. It is not all peace, love, and hope and dreams. It's like, in a perfect world, instead of just going and experimenting with Bob down the streets cannabis, or instead of, going to a rec store and just getting the highest THC they sell you because that's the flavor of the week, getting your
Hmm.
medical card in the state that you're in, even if they're crappy products, it will give you a feel for what to expect in other states, for how to
Right.
figure out the dosing.
Hmm.
Maybe because you have a low THC, I think what are you, 1% in Texas? THC?
0.3, 0.3%.
I thought your medical program was
Oh
1%,
yeah, yeah.
no?
The medical program is 0.5. Yeah, that's right. Oh,
Oh,
can't
point
forget
0.5.
those
Oh,
point
shit.
5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was 1, but all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You clearly live there. I do not. But at least that point 0.5 is better than point 0.3. Just because
Right.
there's more cannabinoids and there's more
Right.
possibility.
Hmm.
But having guidance from someone that like gets it is so important. Learning about it from a trusted source, not necessarily
Right.
your neighbor. Um, you know, Talking to somebody about what your conditions are, but you can't do that in a rec dispensary, right? They can't,
Hmm.
an adult use dispensary cannot legally tell you, oh, this is going to help you sleep at night, or oh, this
Right.
is going to give you like the bubbles and the jiggles and the kiggles, and this is going to make you want to have sex. They can't say any of that, like, because
Right.
these are like medical advice, right?
Right.
So, how do you learn? You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
some states have better medical programs with educated pharmacists. Like in New York, we have to
Hmm.
have a pharmacist on staff. So for a new cannabis user, that
Hmm.
pharmacist can look at their medications and then do, like, what pharmacists do and know what drugs, are okay with cannabis and not.
Right.
There's that guidance at least. And then you have, it's just so important. I mean, I can't emphasize it enough because quality tested with certificate of analysis, product analysis is so important because you need to know you're not smoking heavy metals or pesticides. This is so important.
Right. Yeah. People need to understand that that makes a difference, whether it was
Ooh.
grown with pesticides or not, or so it does, I agree with you. And yes, we do have a low THC here. We're low THC state. Hopefully, be changing soon, but we do have some good hemp.
Well,
We do.
that's cool. But again, it's it is what it is. And
Yes.
I hate that my condition doesn't understand. Like, I got to be honest, I came from Arizona and drove cross country to Buffalo with my
Mhm.
girlfriend last 2 years ago, I guess it is now. And
Mhm.
we literally had to drive through a little bitty part of Texas. I'm like, you go the speed limit. You do not fool with the radio. Do not touch anything. You focus on the road. Full stops at any kind of red light or anything, like, because I had
Yeah.
cannabis with me. You know what I'm saying? I had my medicine with me.
You had
It
your
was,
medicine with you. Yes.
and like, I could go to jail in Texas for
Right.
what I had with me. And I mean, I didn't have like pounds. I didn't have
But
even half a
still,
pound. I
yeah.
had like an ounce, let's say. But I mean, enough to get me cross country, right?
Right.
And I was so tripped out in Texas. I'm not gonna lie, Candy. I was freaking out. Just out of fear
Yeah, no,
of
of course. Of course. And that's how society has us. Like, still, as grown women, we still have to watch our back because it's our medication. So yeah, I feel you.
But like I
Let's see.
said, my symptoms don't know the difference between the Texas line and the New York line. They don't understand the difference between the state lines. And that's the unfortunate part that I see for patients. And one of the things that literally should be happening is every state that's a medical state offers reciprocity, even if it's crappy products, to have at least that ability that, okay, you're a medical patient and you're
Mhm.
in Texas, it would
Right.
make sense why you have more of your medicine than what we would allow in Texas. So you get a pass, right? Or, if I need to go to your Texas dispensary, I don't know why I would, but hypothetically, if I needed to go into there for some reason,
Yeah.
I could have that as an option.
Right.
Um, and
So
like
do you guys have cards in New York? Do they give you cards?
we
Medical patient
used
cards?
to have cards, we used to have them. As a matter of fact, I might even have, I do. Yeah, baby. Right there. What are the odds? So we used to
Oh.
have like cards, but now they
Mhm.
just have us carry around a paper prescription, which is so stupid because you can never find it. Like mine has been opened and shut so many times. It's like, yeah, right.
Oh,
I should probably make a new copy of it, but it's awkward to carry this big old piece of paper, you know?
right. Yeah, no,
Um,
definitely. Well, in
but
Texas, we don't even get a card or a paper. We get they use the last 5 digits of our social.
that's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So if we're in a different state, or if you're trying to do the reciprocal
Oh,
program,
yeah, you won't
we have
even
no
get
room.
reciprocity. You have no
Yeah.
rest. Oh, that's big. That's
Yeah.
stupid. That's another dumb thing. So,
Yeah.
like, these are real problems that patients deal with. So, I think
Right.
in your title of this, you wanted to know my biggest secret, right? Didn't you have that in your little question box?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Tell us.
So, so my biggest secret is life is too short to live for other people. Life
Agree.
is going to come and go no matter what. You have a choice. You can either explore, try, but most importantly, you have to change your mindset. If you're always going to be the victim or always, and trust me, I am not criticizing anyone who has had tragedy happen to them, but
Mhm.
we have to look at it differently. Like, you can sit home and never do anything and be miserable and hate the world, or you could say, at least I'm here to enjoy it, or at least, I can see my people, and I don't know why this happened to me other than the fact that it's made me a better person. It's made me a better human, one that's more compassionate, one that really cares about people. Like,
Right.
you know, I care what people think. I never want to offend people, you
Mhm.
know, and TBI taught me that if I keep living in the past, like thinking about all the things I used to be able to do, like deal
Right.
cards like shark, be able to, you know, go dancing
Mhm.
and move it and, groove it and stuff like that. If I think about all the things I used to be able to do,
Mhm.
I'm always going to be depressed and sad. If I think about always in the future, how am I going to afford this? I can't afford to go to that conference. I can't afford to go keep doing this for free. Whatever it is, like constantly worrying about the future,
Mhm.
constant anxiety.
Right.
So with TBI, I really try and focus on the here and now and live in the moment because time is the only thing you can't get back. Once it's
That's right.
gone, it's gone.
That's right.
And impact. Your impact matters. Even if 5 people at that table think you're an absolute whack job, that sixth person at that table is going to resonate with you and feel less alone. So be your kind of self, be your crazy self, say the stupid things that, maybe only one person laughs at, because that one person might have needed your stupid joke at that time. Whatever. I'm just saying, be respectful, be kind, give people grace, because at the end of the day, a lot of people have given me grace, and a lot of people have taught me about this plant and shared their experiences with me and their stories. And, you know, I really do all I can to help other people. It's never been about the applause, it's always been for the cause. And it's not about Nikki Lawley. It's not about the courage in cannabis, but it's about all of us coming together and sharing our stories. And yes, the courage in cannabis is an amazing vehicle to do that, because so many people can relate to other people's stories. They don't care necessarily about the graphic of the endocannabinoid system and how CB1 and CB2 receptors interact with cannabinoids and things like that. That goes right over their head, especially if they've never heard of the plant. But when you break it down and make it easy for them to understand, that's what gets people excited. And that's what gives them hope. And my biggest secret is live in the moment and really do what you can with what you have right now. Stop worrying about yesterday and, or stop being sad about yesterday and worried about tomorrow. Like, really.
Right.
Because life can change in a second. And so live it.
That's right. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
So let's see. One more question was, what misconception about you would you love to clear up, if any?
I don't have a sponsor. I've been told many times, wow, you must be working for a lot of people or doing a lot of influencing or whatever. And so it makes people afraid to offer employment or offer opportunities because they think I'm already taken. I'm not taken yet. Um, but I do have a job offer on the I actually have a couple job offers on the table. So, I mean, that might change quickly. But, you know, that was a big misconception for a long time. And I've never paid for a single follower. I do my own posting. Clearly, that's obvious based on multiple grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes. And I'm sure, I miss all the tagging of people because I forget who they are, or we're not friends on LinkedIn. And I feel bad that I don't tag them. And yeah, it's a whole thing for me to do all this social stuff, but I'm trying the best I can.
Good, good. So I wanted to ask you, as far as I know, you deal with the brain fog as well. And what is your favorite terpene, and how do you use it? If
So I
you
kind
add
of
it or activate it, or if it's already in your flower, tell us a little bit about that.
So when I shop for flour, I shop by COA. I do a certificate of analysis, the test report, the chemical profile behind the plant,
Mm-hmm.
like the ingredients list on the back of your Cheerios. I want to see that ingredient list. So I found certain blends work better for certain symptoms. So I kind of use cannabis with intention. So when I have a headache, I go for a different strain, like a strain rich in myrcene, for instance, and linalool and beta caryophyllene with a high THC. Like, that actually matters in this case. Um, when I'm anxious and need to chill out, I like a little omniserine and a little linalool and a little terpinolene so I don't fall asleep. But when I just want to clear up the brain fog and clear up the day and just, be sunny, I use limonene, pinene, and terpinolene in strains I possibly can. And, there's been a huge learning curve about terpenes with many people, and they question, their real validity. There is no question in my mind. There is real validity. And all terpenes are, friends, is literally what gives the flower its flavor, its smell, its medicinal properties, because that's where they are, is in the terpenes. But when you set fire to some of them, they burn right off. So you'll
Mhm.
never really feel those full benefits of that particular terpene, i.e., limonene and pinene. However, if you dry herb vaporize those, I then can get those effects. But again, everything is heat based, they're very volatile. So, like, as the flower ages, the terpenes are leaving you. So, it's better rather than having more in storage. It's much better to have less and
Mhm.
get fresh.
Nice, nice. And what is your favorite strain that you like to use?
I can't give you a strain name because it varies all over the place. But I mean, I can tell you that I'm more of a haze girl than a kush girl. I'm
Mhm.
more of a lemony, citrusy, fruity flavor spectrum of the products. And the more I smell the terps, the more drawn to it I am, or I'm totally off. So the cheeses actually work pretty good for um, kind of pain, kind of depression.
Mhm.
Uh, but then you need that limonene to kind of boost it up. But everything is offset in the terpenes. You know what I'm saying? Like certain terpenes are antagonists to others.
Mhm.
So it's all relative. So it's like it's hard to give you a real strain name.
Not a problem. So I also wanted to ask you, as far as, do you use any cannabinoids in your daily regimen, or do you do strictly THC?
Oh no, I use the whole plant, whatever's in it. Um, no, definitely not strictly THC. Um, CBD, when I smoke it just by itself, I
Mhm.
find I get an instant headache, which is interesting. But when it's mixed in with my flour, like again, just a little bit, you don't need much. Um, I find almost the flour is less harsh. So I don't know. It's kind of I mean, I know CBD is an antagonist to THC, so, but it shouldn't really affect the harshness, but whatever. I'm not going to fight it. But I know that's good to have, in your body. And I wish I absorbed fat soluble things like through gummies or tinctures or things like that, but I don't. So um, that's why I smoke.
Nice, nice. Let's see. Has it been hard? Has it been hard to share the difficulties of your invisible injury?
I think it was at first, but
Mhm.
then the more people that let me know how much it resonated with them and how it gave them hope that they didn't feel so alone. And, you know, all the people with TBI that reach out to me is just really incredible. You know, we get desperate. You know what I mean? Like we'll try
Mhm.
anything to end the pain or get our
Right.
memory back or get whatever part of us we lost. We would do anything to have it back, we think, in our heads. And cannabis is the closest thing I've found that's allowed that to happen. So that would be my answer, I think.
Okay.
I forget what the question was. I was so into my answer.
It's it's okay. We totally understand. You're good. Our time is almost up. But can you tell people where they can reach you if they have any questions or they need any type of support?
Well, I mean, I'm not a doctor, first off.
Right.
And as far as support goes, I can help turn you on to references, things like that. The
Right.
best place to find information is definitely going to be my website, which is nikkiandtheplant.org, as posted on your screen. How eloquently cool is that? I'm also on every social media platform. To find me, though, that can be an awkward thing because guess what? I am shadow banned like They
Oh
just
God,
love
yeah.
me. They love me so much. Especially Meta. Meta is like my best friends. Like if I have $1 for every violation I get, I wouldn't need to work. I mean, they're nailing me for stuff from 3 years ago with a pot leaf picture. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you know, it's censorship is real and we have to find a solution, friends. Like I feel like a moron typing in cannabis connects my dots with ampersands for A's. You know what I'm saying? It's just it feels so childish to me. It feels like, whoa. And I get the stigma is real. I get the scheduling. I understand that. But there's a big difference between somebody like posting pictures of bud with for sale, call 1
Right.
800, call your drug dealer, to someone sharing education and sharing a visit to a dispensary, showing different products. There's a huge difference, right? And
Right.
so the
Completely.
censorship is a problem, getting the message out. And so I wish there was a way we could fix that collectively.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and to our audience out there. To learn more about Courage in Cannabis, go to courageincannabis.com, and you can purchase the books on Amazon as well. Have a topic you want us to discuss, reach out to us, send us a private message or on any social media platforms. And also remember, the power's in the stories. And this is the end of the show. Thank you for joining us, Nikki. It was a pleasure. Pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.